After a lifetime of being ignored, I thanked my parents for surviving the inconvenience of a child in my graduation speech. They got revenge by faking a plagiarism scandal, so I took their perfect reputation and shattered it. My parents have the kind of love that makes other people jealous. They still dance in the kitchen, still go on spontaneous getaways, still kiss each other like they're 17 and drunk on hormones. People always told me how lucky I was. At least your parents are still together, they'd say, like that was some kind of gift. But the thing about having parents who are obsessed with each other is that there's no room left for anyone else. They weren't abusive, they weren't cruel, they just forgot I existed unless it was convenient. I was the third wheel in my own family, and because me and my mom were born in the same month, mine was always the one that went forgotten. No matter how many awards I won, A's I got, or gold stars I achieved, none of it ever mattered. I always came second to my parents' marriage. I had to learn how to cook for myself by 11. I learned how to braid my own hair by 12. And when I got my first period in the school bathroom, the only person I told was my diary, because my mom hadn't answered any of my calls. Still, I never said anything. I figured there was no point. I had food, I had clothes, and I had two people who seemed deeply happy. What kind of monster would ruin that? But when I graduated high school, my parents actually showed up to the ceremony. And because I was valedictorian, they got front row seats. Except, when I got up there and looked into the crowd, I saw my parents whispering to each other, barely even looking at me. They were wearing matching outfits too. So I took the opportunity to acknowledge them in my speech. I want to thank my parents who've been in love with each other longer than I've been alive. I mean that. Their relationship has survived decades, 2 recessions, and apparently, the inconvenience of having a child. Everyone laughed, and even my mom gave a weak smile. When it was over, we didn't speak much because they were already late to a dinner reservation. At the time, I had no idea how upset my dad was, until the next day when I got a call. It wasn't my parents, it was my guidance counselor. Her voice was quiet, hushed. "We found out you plagiarized your college essay, Piper." My stomach twisted. I had no idea what the F she was talking about, but just when I took a breath to say something, she continued. "There is no point arguing this. The evidence is damning. I'm just sorry I ever wasted my time on you." She then proceeded to slam the phone down and hang up. My mouth went super dry. My blood turned cold. This was the college I'd been dreaming of since I was a kid. The one whose posters filled my entire room. The one I wouldn't shut up about. Gone. I had this nagging feeling that my parents had something to do with it. At first, I didn't want to believe it, because after all, they were my parents, meaning they're supposed to love me, right? Well, that same day, out of nowhere, my parents began suggesting alternative routes after high school, just in case. The alternative routes in question? Part-time dead-end jobs in the local fast food chains. That's when I knew they were somehow behind it all. So I did what any rational teenager would do in that situation. I waited until nighttime and sneaked into my parents' room to grab my dad's phone. You see, he had this app that recorded all his calls, and this way I could know who it was for sure before entering my villain arc. Piper plagiarized her essay. I know because I helped her. But this isn't right. Her place needs to go to someone who actually deserves it. The sound of my dad's voice made my blood boil. I knew exactly what this was. Punishment. For embarrassing them. For embarrassing my mom. I thought about all the times I begged my parents for attention. The letter I slid under their door when I was 5, asking why I couldn't be part of their family. The years of effort, money, and time I put into trying to look my mom, just so I could finally be lovable. I stared at the Harvard posters around my room. They may have gotten away with ruining my childhood, but there was no way I'd let them get away with ruining my future. Not without a fight. The next morning, I went straight to my guidance counselor's office. I needed to clear my name, but I knew it wouldn't be easy. My dad was a respected figure in our small town. He'd donated to the school, served on committees. His word against mine would be no contest. Mrs. Peterson barely looked at me when I walked in. Her office smelled of coffee and